Here are 5 scary stories that take place in Arkansas. Stay around to hear the last one. It's based directly on real Arkansas folklore. 1. The trees that listen. The Wachitas were quiet in a way that made Caleb uneasy. Not silent, never silent, but hushed like a room where someone had just stopped talking. The leaves barely moved, and even the cicadas seemed to hold their breath. Caleb had grown up in Arkansas. He knew these woods. Still, something felt wrong as he hiked deeper along an overgrown trail marked on his map but missing from the ground. The trees here grew too close together, their trunks twisted as if they'd leaned in to hear secrets. That was when he noticed the footprints. They weren't animal prints. They were bare human feet, long, narrow, and pressed deep into the damp soil. They ran alongside the trail for a while, then vanished. Caleb told himself it was a prank, maybe another hiker. Still, he picked up his pace. Soon the forest began to change. The air thickened. The smell of wet bark and iron filled his nose. Then he heard it, a soft whisper, almost indistinguishable from the wind. Caleb! He stopped cold. No one should have known his name. The whisper came again, closer now, threading through the trees. You shouldn't be here. Caleb turned in slow circles. The forest looked the same, yet not. The trees seemed to lean toward him, their branches forming knotted arches overhead. The trail behind him was gone. Panic rose. He tried to retrace his steps, but every direction led deeper into unfamiliar woods. The whispers multiplied. Dozens of voices, some young, some old, all repeating fragments of words. Lost. Stayed too long. Listened. Then he saw them. Faces pressed into the bark of the trees. Human faces. Eyes closed, mouths stretched open as if mid-scream. Their features bulged beneath the wood grain, frozen in place. Caleb ran. The ground shifted beneath his feet, roots rising like fingers to trip him. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. He felt breath against his ear. They listen, a voice said, and they remember. He burst through the tree line and collapsed onto a gravel road just as the forest went silent again. Searchers found him hours later, shaking and unable to speak. He never hiked again. Years later, hikers still report whispers in the Ouachitas. Rangers say it's just wind and imagination, but sometimes new faces appear in the trees, faces that look like they're still trying to scream. 2. Still, water below. Lake Ouachita looked peaceful at night, the moon turning the water into a sheet of black glass. That calm was why Mara loved it. No waves, no noise, just stillness. She paddled her kayak farther from shore than she meant to, the lights of the campground shrinking behind her. The lake felt endless, deeper than it should have been. Her paddle struck something solid. Mara frowned and leaned over the side. Beneath the water, something pale drifted just out of sight. Not a log, not a rock. The water moved. A ripple spread outward, though there was no wind. The lake seemed to inhale. Then a hand broke the surface. It was gray and swollen, fingers curling weakly before slipping back under. Mara screamed and tried to paddle away, but the kayak wouldn't move. The water had gone thick, heavy, as if gripping the hull. Another hand surfaced, then a face, eyes clouded, mouth opening soundlessly. More shapes rose beneath the water, dozens of them, drifting upward from impossible depths. People preserved and bloated, their expressions frozen in terror. Mara heard voices then, not through the air, but through the water itself. A chorus of muffled pleas. Cold, pulled down, stay with us. The lake tugged at her kayak, tilting it. She felt icy fingers brush her ankle. She kicked free and screamed for help. And somehow, she never remembered how, she found herself back on shore, vomiting lake water and sobbing. Officials said there were no bodies in Lake Ouachita, no records of mass drownings, nothing unusual. Mara never went near open water again, but sometimes, late at night, she hears ripples outside her window and feels cold fingers brushing her skin, reminding her the lake is still waiting. 3. The last train through Winslow. The train station in Winslow had been abandoned for decades, but the tracks were still there, rusted and half swallowed by weeds. Eli stopped his car when he saw the lights. A train was coming. That didn't make sense. No lines ran through Winslow anymore. Still, the sound was unmistakable. The distant rumble, the mournful horn echoing through the hills. The train emerged from the darkness, old-fashioned and black, steam rolling off it like fog. Its windows glowed yellow, and silhouettes moved inside. Against his better judgment, Eli stepped closer. The doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, passengers sat stiffly, their clothes decades out of date. None of them blinked. "Next stop," the conductor called, his voice hollow, "is yours." Eli backed away, but the platform seemed longer now, stretching endlessly. The train crept forward without moving its wheels. The passengers turned to look at him. Their eyes were empty, reflecting nothing. The conductor smiled too wide. "Everyone rides eventually." Eli ran. In the morning, his car was found near the tracks, engine cold. Eli was never seen again. Some nights, locals hear a train horn in Winslow. And sometimes, if you listen closely, you can hear a new voice among the passengers, begging to get off. 4. Beneath Devil's Den. Devil's Den State Park was full of caves, and Lucy loved exploring them. The park brochures warned visitors not to go off trail, but Lucy had always been careful, until the map was wrong. The cave entrance she found wasn't marked, its opening narrow and jagged like broken teeth. Cool air flowed out, carrying the smell of damp stone and something older. Inside, the cave widened into a chamber lined with strange carvings, symbols etched deep into the rock. The walls seemed to pulse faintly, like something breathing. Lucy's flashlight flickered. She heard footsteps behind her. "Hello," she called. The footsteps stopped. Then they began again, slower this time, dragging. Her light went out. In the darkness, something whispered her name, stretching the syllables as if tasting them. Lucy ran, hands scraping stone, heart hammering. The cave shifted, tunnels narrowing, the air growing hot. When she finally burst into daylight, she collapsed, sobbing. Rangers later sealed that cave entrance. They said erosion made it unsafe. But Lucy knows the truth. Something lives beneath Devil's Den, and it doesn't like being disturbed. 5. The Howl on Boggy Creek. Fuch, Arkansas, sits close to Boggy Creek, a place locals avoid after dark. Everyone there knows the stories. The Fuch monster, the Ozark Howler, different names for the same thing. Marcus didn't believe in folklore until he heard the howl. It wasn't a wolf. It wasn't a dog. It was deeper, vibrating through his chest, echoing across the swamp. The sound rose and fell like laughter stretched too thin. His flashlight beam caught movement among the cypress trees. Something tall, hunched, and covered in dark hair. It stepped into the open, eyes glowing faintly red. The smell hit him next, wet fur, rot, and swamp water. Marcus froze. The creature tilted its head, listening. Then it howled again, closer now. The sound carried pain and hunger and rage all at once. Stories flooded Marcus's mind. Reports from the 1970s, livestock torn apart, massive footprints found near the creek. Witnesses dismissed, legends laughed at. The creature took a step forward. Branches snapped behind Marcus as more howls answered from the darkness. He ran, never looking back, the swamp seeming to close around him. He didn't stop until he reached the highway, lungs burning. Marcus left Arkansas the next day. Boggy Creek is still there, and locals still hear howls at night, reminding them that some folklore is just history that hasn't finished happening yet.